Thank you. Mr. Case.
Thank you, Chair. Secretary Ashworth, when we passed the FY 2025 continuing resolution for the rest of this year, Congress also provided funding tables to the Department of
mic on?
Defense. I'm sorry.
Ed, is your mic
Yeah.
on?
Congress also provided funding tables to the Department of Defense, setting forth our expectations and instructions on how to spend that money. Are you following those funding tables? Is there any exception to your following the funding tables?
I am aware that we provided the spend plans as requested and tried to make the best adjustments we could to make up for the difference between what we were expecting in a budget and a full appropriations compared to what we got through a full year for a full year continuing resolution, which was about $4.6 billion less. And so those are the issues that as we were moving through this process. By the way, we appreciate the additional flexibility that this committee and Congress put into that continuing resolution that made it a little bit more flexible than a regular continuing resolution, but we still had significant issues on trying to reconcile that $4.6 billion. And so when we provided our spend plan, we tried to make the adjustments within appropriation that we could to try to get after those issues.
Okay, I think I'm going to take that as a good faith effort to follow the funding tables. I just wanted to know of any unknown, undisclosed deviations from the funding tables. None of those?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to follow up on Ms. McCollum's questions because I'm also trying to make some sense in anticipation of actually making decisions on this budget for FY 2026 of a lot of different things that are going on. So the first one is we started at the beginning of this year with the instruction to all the services to at least come up with a scenario to reduce by 8%. Okay, and presumably all the services went through that scenario. Then what happened next is that you came out with a skinny budget which was level funded, which would imply that nobody went through an 8% reduction, maybe internally. If I'm not mistaken, there's been no allocation of the skinny budget to any of the services. So presumably the decision as to actually where you are going to allocate that skinny budget is still outstanding, and that probably plays back into your evaluation of the 8%, I would assume. But you also have a reconciliation package, which significantly increases the budget over and above the regular appropriations process, and I'm not aware of that actually being broken out into services. I see that some of the services, for example, the Army, who's going to be here tomorrow, are acting on the assumption that they do not have an increase in that budget, and are actually issuing orders right now to the force to change various approaches to comply with that budget assumption. So I guess the question really is, in all of that fluidity, what's actually happening with your department, with the Space Force and the Air Force? Are you still very fluid as to what your final numbers are in FY 2026? Or have you narrowed it down? Are you starting to focus in on 8% savings possibilities, or is it going to be an up or what? Can you just get into a little bit more where you are right now?
So at this point in time, we've been continuing to work internal to the building on deliberations on exactly what you've been talking about. What is going to go into the final budget, and the budget, as I understand, is going to be two parts in our request. It's going to be a mandatory spending and discretionary spending. And so there will be an appropriations piece and a reconciliation piece as part of the request that we're making. And so we're going through—
Is there an allocation of the reconciliation as between the services?
I have not seen an allocation to us, but there is absolutely work going on within the building to allocate resources against one or the other as we move through this.
Okay, so if the reconciliation bill came before Congress tomorrow and had a request for that, what is it, 100 and some odd billion of extra money on the mandatory side through reconciliation, we would have trouble actually splitting that up right now. I mean, that's what I'm interpreting you saying. We don't.
My understanding, when you receive the budget from OMB, and it comes through the department, is that it will be broken out for you as to what is in the appropriation and what is in the reconciliation part of those bills.
Okay, and can you say right now, and if you can't, that's fine, can you say what the net effect is for the Air Force? What kind of shooting target should be we anticipating here?
I cannot say right now before the budget is released.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.